about the topic of surrender. Excuse me. uh, the topic of surrender from verses 13 to 25. So we will see as we get into the topic. So natural question is, oh my God, you're telling me that I can see you everywhere and experience you everywhere, but forget about everywhere. I cannot see you anywhere. Like the question is like, if Krishna is everywhere, then why can't I perceive him everywhere, for that matter, anywhere? Like what's the problem? Like it does not match with my lived experience. So a lot of people can have this question. We also can sometimes feel, despite being practitioners, oh my God, where is Krishna in my life? Seems like he is missing. So how do we know? There are two different moods when a devotee feels that, and when someone who is not having a connection feels that, for sure. But still, what could be some answers? Any thoughts?
Could it be because of our own conditioning and coverings?
Yeah, our own misgivings or conditionings or limitations. Okay. In
We need to get past the illusionary energy, which
Wow,
is
you're
quite
already speaking
difficult.
the language of the Bhagavad Gita.
Which is very difficult.
Yeah, it's true. Like we need to get through that layer of illusion that is stopping us from seeing Krishna. But the whole discussion is going to be like, how do we do that? That's the whole. Krishna is going to say that. Uh, but there is Krishna gives something very immediate and something very practical actually when he speaks about that. Why the whole world is unable to see him. So anybody else who wants to go? Otherwise, we can proceed. Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it we can't see him because we want to enjoy instead of serving? We're thinking that we should be served, and we're thinking more in terms of how can I enjoy this material place?
Thank you.
So
Drawing tendency is stopping us from seeing Krishna. Thank you. And as you said, like a service attitude can reveal Krishna. Thank you, Madhavendran. Gokul, you wanted to go, or Manil?
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe our priorities aren't straight. In the sense that sometimes we might, struggle with japa. So I feel like if we prioritize that, then we would be more able to perceive better.
Intentional connection, making priority. Thank you. Yes, Purva?
But right now, you yourself said that since you are a practitioner, you also sometimes fail to see him. So then, if we engage ourselves continuously in the service, then also we are not going to be able to see him sometimes, isn't it? So it wouldn't be like a sure shot 100% answer, or it could be. I don't know. I'm
like
asking.
like what Monil just said, like sometimes our intentions, we may be externally practicing, but our we may not be fully present with our heart. So then again, reconnecting, it's like not a mechanical thing. We cannot catch God, or like there is no formula actually to catch him. It's only love. So then again, we look back and look deep and see, okay, where am I? Uh, where is my intentions? Like where am I being like more multi-branched? Where is my love focused or not? So that is different. But here specifically, this is a generic kind of a question. Shirupa, you wanted to go? Okay, I saw you. Okay, I saw you unmute, so I thought like you wanted to say something.
No, sorry, Prabhu.
No,
It
no,
was an accident.
no. So what Krishna says as an answer, like why we are not able to see him, he says he blames it on the three modes. He says like these three modes are actually covering goodness, passion, and ignorance. The whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. It's like, Prabhupada gives this example of the sun. The sun is always in the sky. Of course, at night we are unable to see, but even in the day, sometimes we are not able to see the sun because the clouds cover the sun. But to be very specific, do the clouds cover our vision of the sun, or are the clouds covering sun?
Yes, they just cover us. They don't cover
They
the
cover us. They
sun.
cannot cover the sun because the sun is so powerful that it's visible somewhere else. So the clouds are only covering us. Similarly, it's not the modes are actually covering Krishna. The modes are actually covering us. So Krishna can be concealed by the modes, but cannot be contained by the modes. So it's not that he is hiding, like the modes are completely covering him. It's actually concealing Krishna from us. It's covering our vision. So the natural question is how to overcome the influence of these modes, right? So first we saw if Krishna is everywhere. Krishna said, I am everywhere. So the natural question is, if you are everywhere, why we are not able to experience you? He says, it's the three modes which is stopping us. In what ways, like before we get into this question, in what ways do you think the three modes are stopping us from seeing Krishna?
They influence our desires and what we want. So if we're in the mode of passion and ignorance, I mean, it's coming at us, making us think this is way more fun or way more enjoyable than anything else. But it's always based on me, what's pleasing me instead of anyone else.
Wow, that's so perfect, Madhavendra. If we expand what you said with the examples that Krishna gave, so he said, I'm the taste in the water. So when we access water, we could be thinking the source of this water is Krishna. But when I look at water, it's about me. I'm thirsty. So my looking at the water is, okay, here is my object of uh, experience or enjoyment, or like wanting to overcome that feeling of thirst. So here is my object for that. I don't see it as, oh, here is the source of Krishna, energy of Krishna that is helping me. I'm interacting with an energy of Krishna. That level of awareness is not there because we are overcome by the three modes. And if a person is in the mode of goodness, he chooses the healthy things to eat when he is hungry. If somebody is passionate, they may think, oh, what's the most exciting thing to eat? Somebody is in the mode of ignorance may not even understand all of these things and choose things which kind of numb them. So based on the three modes, our interaction with all these objects where we could potentially see Krishna is being like distracted by these desires that we have in these three modes. If we develop transcendental desires, if we go beyond them and try to see Krishna, then we'll be able to. But most of the times the world is absorbed in these three modes. So that's what is stopping us from actually able to see Krishna. Does that
Prabhu?
make Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just heard an example this morning that made me think, it made me think of the example when you were speaking. It's Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would say that sometimes we're in the game and then sometimes we're sitting on the sidelines because we've stepped out of the game for a second, right? And so like when you're speaking about the modes, it made me think of that when we're engaged in service and we're in the game, it's less likely that the modes will affect us as deeply
Mm.
than when we're sitting on the sidelines. So I thought that was a really nice analogy. I heard this morning. I thought I'd share it.
Thank you. So yeah, listening to these kind of wisdom actually keeps us in the game. We try to realize, oh, okay, like, am I even being conscious? Forget about being Krishna conscious. Am I even being conscious? And then we can become more Krishna conscious. So yes, surely listening to such wisdom helps us. Shirupa, thank you for sharing. And so if Krishna is everywhere, why are not able to see is because of the three modes. Now the natural question is, how can I overcome the influence of the three modes? And is it even possible to overcome the modes? Because the whole world is made of three modes. Krishna is saying in the 7.14 that the divine energy of mind, the Maya energy, is this world is actually made of the three modes. Gunamayi, Daivihi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duratya. He says it's difficult to overcome. However, Mam Yevaye Prapadyante. If somebody actually surrenders to me, they can easily cross beyond this material energy. So that is why we speak on the section is titled as surrender. I chose the word surrender as the title because this is the main theme that we are going to see in the coming verses. That yes, Krishna is everywhere, but to access him, we need to develop our surrender to be able to see Krishna everywhere. Otherwise, we'll be overcome by the three modes. So
One question.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. But can you give some more examples to bring out how goodness is a mode that prevents us? I think passion and ignorance, I think I can understand. But can you maybe just elaborate a little bit more on goodness?
Thank you. The general idea of goodness, if you read the symptoms in the Bhagavad Gita, seems like it's a favorable thing. It's a desirable mode to develop. However, just being on that level of mode of goodness can help us come closer to transcendence, but in itself cannot reveal transcendence to us. Say, for example, they give this analogy that how if we want to fly, the flight actually goes to the runway, right? So it's easy to take off from the runway. At emergency times, it can take off from a huge road, like these big highways they build us, like 6-way lanes are basically in times of war, they want flights to actually take off. They are not building to facilitate our daily travel. It's an illusion they create. Actually, they are building such long roads so that the flights can take off at war times. It's an emergency that may be possible, but in general, the flight goes to the runway, and from there it actually takes off very easily. So similarly, the mode of goodness is like that place from where you can take off to transcendence. But if the flight just goes around in the runway and never makes that propelling action of like flying off, then it will never happen. It will never take off. So that surrender to Krishna and taking guidance from a spiritual master is like that taking off. It's easier when it is on the runway. It's difficult when it is on a congested road. It's just not possible. So that is why mode of goodness is favorable, but in itself cannot reveal Krishna to us. It's still in the bodily conception. That is the understanding. Does it make sense, Sheshpa?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So now that Krishna is saying, yes, only through surrender one can overcome the influence of the three modes, then the natural question is like, oh, okay, if that is such an easy cheat code that is available, then why does everyone does not surrender? It's as simple as that, right? Okay, I surrender to Krishna and then I overcome the modes and I can see Krishna everywhere. I can be spiritual. It's so easy, right? Then why doesn't everyone does not surrender? So that's why that's what Krishna is going to discuss now. Who surrenders, who does not surrender, who does improper surrender. So we're going to see all those three categories now. Krishna is going to speak about who are those who does not surrender and why. This also gives us an opportunity to understand that that surrender is still within our choice. Like Krishna cannot force us to surrender. Krishna can actually orchestrate things, but still it is we who have to actually make that conscious choice. So this is where between free will and faith, there is a delicate balance. And without that free will, Krishna cannot just force us to surrender. He may orchestrate things, he may facilitate, but still our own free will needs to be exercised. So take a moment to reflect on this concept of free will and its relation to faith in God. And what do you think is the reason for some individuals to choose to deny or reject God's existence, despite apparent evidence of his presence? because I'm not sure if this is the verse. I posted some notes for me to look at. But there was one verse by Yamunacharya. He says, "O Supreme Lord, despite all the um, all the scriptural authorities telling about you, and all the revealed scriptures, all the temples, all the facilities, all the spiritual knowledge that is available, despite uh, that, a lot of people actually does not want to surrender to you." He says it is their misfortune that they are not able to um, actually change their ways of thinking. They are just limited by their cynicism. So he says that. So any thoughts on this idea of free will and faith in God?
I think one of the reasons is that we tend to believe only things that we can perceive with either of the five senses, like directly. If I can see something, I will believe it. Like, well, I cannot see an atom, but it is proved by science that it is there. So I will believe it. But if we cannot prove that God is there by something material, then many people would reject the concept completely.
Yeah. So the strong faith in one's own sensory ability, and that feeling that if I cannot see, uh, means I won't believe. So that also is a big obstacle
But
in.
many a times people are willing to believe. So they say, okay, I will believe, and they start believing. And then they pray to God, and then nothing happens because they want immediate results. And then, so then they end up believing. They say it's of no use because nothing is happening.
Yeah. So either people who completely reject that God does not exist, or people use him more like an order supplier. And when things don't turn out according to their desire, then they use that as a reason to actually deny his presence, because it does not anyway help in them. So it's all because the center is us. In all of these conceptions, the center is me. Either I cannot perceive God, so he does not exist, or he does not act according to my desires. He does not fulfill, he does not obey my orders, so he does not exist. So it's all about our limited conception of what we perceive and what we want. Nadarendra, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, just to jump off on that great reflection of Parva. Um, I also get a sense that some people don't want to have rules that they have to maybe follow because it will dictate what they've already been doing that maybe isn't great for um, you know, gaining any sort of spiritual upliftment. So if if you're telling me, oh, if you do these things and read these books, and it's kind of like, well, that's kind of boring. Like I want to do something enjoyable, or I want to do something that pleases me more, or don't tell me I can't engage in this, that, and the other, because then I don't want to, I don't want to do it. Which is kind of why kirtan is and prashadam are such kind of really sneaky ways of introducing someone to a higher taste. Because people kind of like music and they love food, right? So it kind of helps them inch forward. But I feel like for the most part, people just really want to do what they want to do and they don't want anyone telling them what to do.
Thank you, Madhendra. That means, as you shared, I got a lot of uh, things to kind of, it reminded me of many things. But one thing, if I want to share, yes, it feels like kirtan and prasad are like easy ways. Yet, yes, they are very easy ways for them to appreciate. In one sense, it's people feel it is sneaky, but also it shows that how merciful God is, because he understands that this is the level that people can actually connect when they are in material consciousness. So let me actually come in this way. Let me give my grace just through food, which everybody likes to enjoy. So it is his mercy that he is willing to come to that level, because one can choose to reject those forms very easily, disrespect those forms very easily. So he's becoming vulnerable and accessible. In order to become accessible, we all need to become vulnerable, even in our own lives. If we want to become accessible to people, then we have to become vulnerable. Like you want to connect to a child, the child may sometimes just, you may be a very big person, but when you get to the level of the child and we're trying to connect, the child may slap you, the child may kick you, the child may reject you, can spit on you. Means the child can do anything, because you have to become a, if you want to create a relationship with a child, then you have to become vulnerable. So similarly, it's to the mercy of Krishna, that extraordinary mercy, that he comes to the level, he appears, like he comes in the form of the prasad, and also he takes a sound form so that we can actually access him very easily and have the same experience of personally connecting him just by connecting with the sound through a good music. So that is why Kali Yuga is considered more beneficial in one sense, or glorious, because in other ages, Krishna, though Kirtan is always available, the holy names are always available, uh, there are the other processes are also very strongly recommended in the other ages, and they keep him a little bit far from the living entities because they have more ability to connect with him. The ability to connect is reducing in Kali Yuga, so he is also coming down and appearing in more ways, and these ways are emphasized more in Kali Yuga. And yeah, they're not just yeah, they are in one sense sneaky. Like I know a lot of people would say, I don't take food from you, I know you guys do some prayers on that and all that. I will not take. So it's not sneaky, it's like it's so evident that Krishna is so merciful that he is willing to appear in those forms. So thank you. And Purva?
And also because throughout so many centuries, there have been so many wars and other crimes committed under the name of religion. Although it's not what religion says that you have to do, but it has been done because everyone is trying to impose their own religion on somebody else. And so then many a times people, especially the youth, they think that it's better to remain an atheist, not to accept any religion at all. And but through that, perhaps we can avoid future war. Or, we just don't adhere to any religion so that wars could be avoided altogether.
True. Most of the times religion is just a pretext for war. People are like cats and dogs, they will anyway fight and kill each other for their own personal motives and power and things. It's just more like a wheel that they use. Statistically, World War did not happen because of World War One and Two did not happen because of religion, and they killed more people than most other wars in the planet. So means, yeah, if somebody wants to not believe, they can pick up reasons for that. However, yeah, if we could, they could be like given arguments that how it's not the only perspective. Thank you. Mona?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that I think that love and faith is very interconnected, and like like you mentioned, similarly to a mother loving a child unconditionally, Krishna does the same. But I also do think, however, that individuals, they choose to deny the existence of God because I think sometimes their id, ego, and super ego may cover their perception, which makes them question, why am I the only one suffering? Instead of seeking, like, internally, many choose to look externally, which they may only see more turmoil, and that makes their situation worse.
Thank you. Yeah, like the inability to look outside for answers, or just seeing everything from their limited perspective. Thank you, Manila. And also, just if I reflect based on what you said, like the world is not making it easy sometimes, actually, for people to develop faith in God, because that is our individual responsibility to make it actually easy for others to develop faith in God in the way we actually conduct our lives and how we behave, how we live, because that is the most important need of the world today. If only the leaders of the countries, leaders of the communities and the world lived and guided people under them in to live in ways that can actually increase the people's faith in the presence of God and goodness in this world would be a much better place. So we worship someone like Prabhupada because that one personality actually increased the faith and the desire of people to look for something greater and good in this world, despite the presence of a lot of negativity. So to see the obvious is actually mediocre because there is so much negativity in the world. It's very obvious to see the obvious. It does not take a great person to see what is obvious in the world, which is the lot of negativity. But to actually take the little, whatever is positive is there a little bit, but actually try to increase it, to focus their attention on that positive and actually expand it so that the world can become a better place for people to actually access God through this place. So we are not making it a better place for us to live here permanently, but actually the purpose of this place is to find God. So can we make this place fulfill its purpose through our own life? That's why Prabhupada personalities like Srila Prabhupada are worshipable, because they are actually helping Krishna fulfill the purpose of this particular place. The whole material existence is there for us to find God, and he's making it easy for us. So to see the obvious does not require greatness. To see what is not obvious needs a trained eye. It needs more intelligence. So that's what even in this world we see. Like, we cannot see that the air has the ability to carry waves, but it takes someone who's intelligent to figure out the radio waves or the infrared waves and all these waves, and use them for communication, use them for constructive purposes. It's not very obvious. So it takes higher intelligence to see, similarly, in this world also, the presence of God. So it's not very great for someone to say, I cannot see, so he does not exist. It just shows their inability to rise above their immediate circumstances. So does it make sense? Any thoughts on that?
Also, Prabhu, maybe I'll add one point based on a conversation that we had earlier where you were defining faith, and it was a very nice, I think it stuck with me, like trust through experience. I think, and if you look at the question of why people find it difficult to surrender, is because there's a lack of experience that results in lack of faith, which results in people not having the ability to surrender. So I think there is kind of a circular reasoning there. You have to go through the experience, and you have to experience it for yourself. And because a lot of people don't experience it for themselves, they find it difficult to surrender to.
True. I think we discussed about that on the last Saturday then we met.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a quote from Damodar Maharaj. So that faith is trust by experience. I really liked it. As you rightly say, a lot of people cannot actually develop faith because they're not willing to experiment. They're not willing to become vulnerable in trying to expand their viewpoints through their experience. Yeah, thank you for that. It's a very important aspect of developing spiritual faith is through experimenting with our own consciousness through the spiritual practices. Then there is a natural trust that comes by, and that's a very sublime faith. It's not just a belief, because there is difference between faith and belief. Belief can change because it is based on what I think, but faith is based on practical spiritual experience. So thank you for adding that. Okay. So now that Krishna speaks about those people who are unable to surrender and why, there are 4 categories of individuals who reject God. Krishna says the first category is like Muda. So he says like engrossed hard workers. And the others are uncivilized people. For want of better word, I just used uncivilized, but we'll unpack it. It sounds very harsh. Misled intellectuals and very outwardly self-proclaimed atheist. So these are the various kinds of personalities that actually does not surrender. Because a lot of people in this world, they think, oh, I'll work hard, and in the end I will enjoy whatever is the benefit of my hard work. So yes, I'm not sure who's using an iPad.
It's Chakras.
Hey, Krishna.
But probably aren't they right though? Because isn't it through the hard work that they enjoy what they worked for?
Yes. So I was just about to make the other following point. So I'll answer you now. Yes, it's very important that we work. At least it is better that we work and enjoy instead of enjoying based on others' work. So it is that part is not being attacked. So what is the problem in that attitude that Krishna is saying is like, is it all the that preoccupation with just working hard in the material world and trying to enjoy within this world without thinking anything beyond this world, that he is calling us being foolish, because we have done that for so many lifetimes. We have worked hard, we have enjoyed, and we are still here. It never ends, and we never just enjoy. It's just a part of the package. There is always a lot of miseries and inconveniences that comes along with the enjoyment that we have. Most of the times the enjoyment is much less than the hard work. It's not very proportionate. That's why Krishna compares this with these people with, forgive me for saying that, it's donkeys, because the donkey actually works a whole day very hard, carrying a huge load for the washerman. And at the end, what the washerman does is like it ties and leaves the donkey to freely graze on the grass on the bank of the river when he is washing the clothes. Actually, the grass on the bank of the river is freely available for the donkey. It need not work in order to enjoy that grass on the bank of the river. It's naturally available, but it thinks that only if I serve the washerman, I'll get this grass. So maintenance is not a big deal. Prabhupada says many times, like, who is maintaining the elephants? They eat they eat much more, many pounds than human beings, but they're all being fed. Maybe in Kali Yuga even that does not happen. They are invading the cities for food because we have invaded the forest. But as long as we don't disturb the delicate balance in the nature, their needs are taken care. Similarly, our needs also will be taken care. So the understanding is, as Dhananjay Maharaj again says, our job is the means of our sustenance, not the source of our sustenance. Our work is the means of our income or money or enjoyment, but it's not the source of that. Krishna is the ultimate source of provider. There are so many people who work hard, still don't make money. There are people who may work less, but have a huge inheritance. So through karma, a lot of these things are arranged. We need to work hard. Nobody is denying. But to think that that's all to life is what is the problem. Working is not mutually exclusive to surrendering to Krishna. They both can coexist. Does that make sense, Chakresh?
Yeah.
Sounds like not a complete conviction.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you. I'm just joking. So the other category of people are the people who are very egoistic, that they don't even follow the cultural and social values. They're just concerned about immediate gratification. Because they can't even understand that living like that is not even sustainable on a material level. They reject all kinds of social, all kinds of cultural or religious rules, but the only goal in life is just enjoy. They don't care about anything. But the society cannot survive if everybody starts behaving like that. It will become a very animalistic society. That's why they're called as uncivilized, because if their ways is adapted by everybody in the society, then the society would become animalistic, would become unbearable to live in such society. So there is always rules required even for civilized life. So when people say they don't like rules, just go to their home and knock 10 times, they will start speaking rules, that how you're not supposed to trespass and ring someone's bell without trouble someone. So the misled intellectuals are people, yes, they know a lot of things, but their own intellectualization of this world takes them away from the truth, because they're too proud about their own learning, and then they're about their own knowledge, that it blocks them from seeing the real truth and knowledge. So these are misled academically intellectuals, but unable to see the other level of existence, which is very easy to access if only they could open up their they can expand their consciousness. And the fourth is the completely self-proclaimed confident atheist, because a lot of these other people will pass on as religious people. They will say, oh yeah, I believe in God, but they won't do anything actively to aid that belief. Or they may not go around and tell other people actively that they should not believe in God. They may just have their own belief and go about it. But the last category is those people who actually run podcasts and run institutions to propagate atheism, to systematically dismantle the faith of other people in God. Even if that faith was very rudimentary, they just cannot tolerate that some people have even rudimentary faith in God. That's a problem, because the faith is rudimentary and it's just belief. It's blind belief. It's based on misconceptions. It's based on, they call it in Hindi, andhavishwas. So these kind of things do exist in the world. So these people go around and dismantle in very systematic way, even that minimal faith in God. So these are people who are atheistic nature. So these are the four kinds of people who actually reject surrender very actively or do not surrender. And then the four category of people who do surrender comes into picture. Can someone help me with the time?
9:52.
9:52.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. We haven't even scratched this episode, this section. There's 4 verses into it. How did that happen? So there are 4 category of people who are actually who do surrender. So they're distressed, they're desirer of wealth, they're inquisitive, and the other is searching for God. There are 4 kinds of people. So they are distressed, so they turn to God, or they want something. It could be wealth, it could be something else, but they're in need of something. They're looking for something, so they also come to God. And the third category is they're just inquisitive. They just kind of have some questions. They're just inquisitive. They're curious. But the fourth category is very clearly searching for God. They really are looking for some higher truth. So who do you think is the best?
The person searching for God. And that was a question of mine, actually. I wanted to make sure that that was what Krishna or Prabhupada is alluding to in the purport, or mentions in the purport, rather, that those were the most favorable to God, even though he still loves the others. That one pleased him the most.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Madhurendra. I'll surely unpack after others also share. I saw Gokul raising his hands. Was it by an accident?
I was going to say the same thing as Mataji.
Yeah, you can still say it. It'll be different when you say it.
The person was searching for God because the other 3 have materialistic things to get.
You're slamming them.
God.
Why are they materialistic?
One of them wants wealth, one of them wants the answers to questions, and the other one wants happiness.
What's the problem in that? Why they are not the better?
This person, the fourth person is searching for God purely because they want to find the truth.
Thank you, Gopal. I hear Gopi also in the background. Hare Krishna. So, as you both said, yes, searching for God, the fourth category is considered the best. And the primary reason is because someone in distress, if their prayers got answered and their distress went away, their interest in looking further about God can go away. And if somebody is looking for something like wealth, once they get it, then their interest in looking for God might go away. And the same with inquisitive, after getting some answers, they may feel like, oh, their curiosity or inquisitiveness can turn to another topic. It's good that for these three reasons, they have come to God, they have come to the right place, maybe not for that perfect reason, but still they have come to the right place. So Krishna calls them all the four as magnanimous, but he says the fourth has more chances of making it further in the path. That is why he is considered the best, because he has more guarantee that they will go further in the path. Purva?
And I think that the last stage, searching for God, starts with being distressed, because it's only when we are all fine and we have everything, we don't really uh, speak to God as often as when we are distressed. And so I think the first step for everyone would be like when they are utterly distressed, when no human being around them is able to help them, or when they are very ill, in the hospital, no medicines are working for them. That's when they would finally turn up to God, and that's when they would also become inquisitive, and thus the searching for God would start.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Yes, that distress can actually create inquisitiveness about God, and they can start searching. But Krishna is also specifically speaking about four different categories of people in this world. There's some people who are just born in wealth and they have perfect health and they have everything is going well, but still they realize, oh, none of these things are satisfying me. Is there something more to life? So there are people of all these categories who exist. Yes, the distress or the desire can actually create their search for God, can start their search, but there are also four categories of people. Both ways works. Make sense? So here is what we see that Krishna says. Would anybody like to read the screen?
I can go. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal.
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh. So all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous. He calls them all like great people, but he just feels like the fourth category is actually has more chances of going further in the path. So he considers him as better. So these are the three categories of people that we are discussing. So we discussed those who don't surrender, that is the 7.15. And then we spoke about this category, the four people who surrender, which is 7.16 to 19. And then there is a third category. They don't say there is no higher power. So the difference between this third category and the first category is, first category actually categorically rejects anything beyond their immediate perceptions. So there's nothing transcendental existing. There is no higher power. There is no greater than like their own existence. They don't acknowledge anything higher than themselves. So that is why they don't surrender. But there is a third category who acknowledge there is a higher power, but they don't exactly surrender to that supreme Lord or Krishna. Specifically, he is speaking about himself here. So they don't exactly surrender to Krishna, but they surrender to other demigods. So it's a big section, so I wouldn't want to start it now. So let's start. I was so convinced today we're going to complete this chapter. But I'm so shocked that we just literally like less than 10 verses. So the next section is the demigods. Within this next subsection, within this section is those who surrender to demigod and what does Krishna speak and think of them and speak about them. And then the last section is going to be about the fourth section, which is okay, sorry. The fourth section is going to be regarding liberation. The section where Krishna speaks about knowing him leads to liberation. So we will see those two sections in the coming week. Next week, since we are planning for an in-person gathering, I would request those who can you can sign up. So I'll again post it in the WhatsApp group. If you haven't seen the WhatsApp group, the kids, if it's your parents who sees the WhatsApp group. So we are planning to meet in person next week on Saturday morning, 11 to 1 at the Bhakti Center. So we'll have some games and you are free to make a presentation, which can be like anywhere between like 8 to 10 minutes long. You can present any topic from the first 6 chapters that you want. You can present, you can have a discussion, or you can share what you want. So it's some open time for the participants to present. And then we will have some Kirtan and Prasad. So if you're interested, please sign up. So we have around already 6 devotees who have signed up and a couple of them presenting. So even if you cannot present, don't worry, just come join us. We are always meeting online, so sometimes it's good to know. I know most of you, but still it's good to be in presence. So we won't have the online session next week if we are having the in-person session, because it will not be easy for people to travel by 11 here to the Bhakti Center. And the following week we'll continue with the 7th chapter. So those who live in New York City, and if you have time, please. And the kids, you can ask your parents to check the WhatsApp group and let us know in the WhatsApp group if you're willing to join us and make some presentation. So we'll be very happy to hear from all of you. So thank you everyone for taking your time on a Saturday morning to give us all your association and share. So hope this was of some help in understanding the Bhagavad Gita. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you everyone. So see you some of you next week in person, and others the following week online. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. See
Hare
you all.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, my
Hare
dad.
Krishna.
Krishna.
And Pardi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In Mother Indra, Amrit Kishori.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Babaji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, everyone. See you guys soon.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Chakresh. Let us know if you can come.